And good morning and welcome to Touch Base Daily. It is season 3. It is season 3, and I am so glad to be back after a long sabbatical, being out and enjoying family and time just resting. How are you all doing? Good morning to everyone. Welcome to Touch Base Daily. We are back really for just today. However, we're really back next week. Next week, we'll be back on the 15th, and we'll be back at 11 o'clock. Our new time will be 11 o'clock, and we'll be back to our original time, which was the first season of Touch Base Daily. So we'll be on live every day, Monday through Friday, from 11 o'clock. And so we're going to have a great time. We got some great guests coming in for the new season, and I was so excited. We have a guest today that you're going to love. I was like, the moment I met Carl Broady, I was like, holy moly, this guy is cool. So I was like, this guy is so excited to meet, to talk to. Just a great guy overall. So, but anyway, let's go into some good mornings because I see there's some people in the house. Let's start with Hannah. Hannah says, good morning, Ron and Carl. Good morning, RLF family. I see you. I see you. Amparo is in the building. I miss all of you guys. Amparo's in the building. She says, Grand Rising RLP family. So good to see Miss Amparo in the building. And you know who else is in the building? Rashawn. Rashawn says, good morning and happy new year, Ron and Touch Base Daily family. So good to see you. And the wonderful Janet. Janet is in the building, y'all. Good morning, Janet. And she says, good morning, Ron and Touch Base Daily family. And Kelly A is in the building. She says, good morning, everyone, and happy new year. And Jamel Shabazz is in the building. My brother is in the building, and he is here. He says, Grand Rising all and happy new year. And we have also all the way from the West Coast, Mr. DT. Mr. DT Tuggle is in the building, actor extraordinaire. And so you had a great time with the Golden Globes. I'm sure you had a good time with that. So guys, we are here. So I'm not gonna prolong it. I'm just gonna go straight into it. I'm not going into any politics today. We'll save that for next week. There's a whole lot going on in politics, and I haven't had a chance to talk to you about it. Let's exhale. Okay, so hey, David Mascaro just walked in. What's going on? He says, good morning, Ron. And Derek says, peace, Derek. Peace. Yes, sir. So guys, I'm so excited. First of all, I'm going to set this screen up so you can see why I met Carl. I can't remember. I know we met, pretty much really met last year at ICP. And I was like, holy moly. And we just started talking. And I was like, oh, we got a lot of things in common. But when I saw his work, now I saw his work before that, before ICP. And I was like, this work is so good. Now, for those that don't know, when I was a kid, I used to get National Geographic on the regular. And I would, every time my aunt would get these magazines, I would look at them. And I fell in love with the photography at National Geographic. And one of my favorite photographers is Steve McCurry. You all know him from the Afghan Girl. You know him from that, and his work. He was a photojournalist, and he was in the field during, I do believe, the the Russian-Afghan War, and he took that amazing photo of Afghan Girl. So I fell in love with Steve McCurry's work. And I love the way he edits. And you go to he has this big thing going on right now, his book and everything that's out. But I have not seen another photographer that gave me that feeling until I saw Carl. Carl's work, how he edits his photos and all that, I mean, how he creates is this line that draws you in as a photographer. You see his work as a photographer, but then he pulls you in to making you feel the art, the art of it all. So here we go. Let's look at some of his work, and then we're going to bring him on. So this is some of his work here. And if you go to his page on on Instagram, it is called Broady Photo, and this is his second Instagram page. I think his first Instagram page, something happened, got damaged, or Instagram and their fanaticans, who knows what happened. But I think what it did was also give him the opportunity to share with the whole new audience and to recreate and to share a lot more of his work. So we're gonna go. I just want you to see. I'm just gonna see. And I mean, he covers a good spectrum of his work as well. I mean, this one here is called "Going Through My Files." And so he has his black and whites, he has his colors, but the ones that really, I love black and white. Now, you guys know how I feel about black and white photography. But his color photography, it's like, it just gives me that, like I said, that painting feel. And he always uses lots of color. Lots of color. You'll find, I would say, just from outside looking in, the color is pretty much his trademark. He may beg to differ, but he really dives into a lot of color, and the way he expresses that color allows you to feel that artwork in it. So anyway, with no further ado, you just seen this little roll here. We're gonna go through his Instagram page, and we're going to go through his website. We're gonna go through a couple of photos that he shared that we're gonna go through and he's gonna talk about. But with no further ado, let me get my cursor over and remove this. And here's Mr. Carl Broady.
What's up, Ron? How you doing? Thank you for everything. I appreciate you having me on the show today, and Happy New Year to everyone.
Happy New Year, buddy. And it's so good. First of all, just so you know, I wasn't supposed to start my show until January 15th. I've been on vacation.
Okay.
So, but you, my friend, when I heard that you were going to have a showing of your work, I said, why not get you in front of the people, and so they can see your work and hopefully also go out and visit and see what you're doing. And but also gives an opportunity for the audience to see who you are. And so you are technically the first guest of 2025, and you're the first guest of season 3. So
I
you
guess
got
I'm
that
the first
honor.
of many things then. Thank you for having me on and the first guest of 2025 and the first guest of season 3. Thank you very much, and I appreciate it.
So, Carl, how did you get into photography? What I want to know, where was the first time in your life that you picked up a camera, and then the story goes on? When was the first time you picked up a camera? You picked it up and you were, fascinated by it, or you took your first shot. When was it? And let's talk about it.
So with photography, still photography, actually, I think I picked up my first camera in probably 2003. That's when I picked up the first still camera.
Okay.
Prior to that, when I was at Bowie State, my major was communications and journalism. So I was actually operating video cameras back then. Still, when we had to put the tape in and splice the tape with a razor. and all that kind of stuff. We were doing analog back then. And I picked up a camera. No, actually, I picked up a camera around that time, I believe, because I was shooting film. I remember going back shooting film, but it's funny because I actually learned how to develop film before I even started shooting.
Wow.
I learned how to develop film back in junior high school. So I already knew how to develop film. So fast forward though. So I picked up a camera and really got serious with the camera when I started a magazine called Urban Biker. It was a motorcycle magazine geared towards the urban hip hop community. It had really good success with that magazine. And that magazine went from 2004 to I want to say 2012, right around there somewhere. And the magazine went as far as Japan. It was selling as far as Japan. And what I did back then was I had a camera. I had a couple of cameras, and I would shoot. I would go to the events all the time, shooting a lot of motorcycle events, shooting the fashion section that I had in the magazine, shooting tattoos, the tattoo stuff I had in the magazine. And I would always hire other photographers to shoot certain sections because I felt like they had more experience and their work was better than mine. That's when I doubted myself and didn't look at myself that is, as being on that level. Until one day, someone from Essence Magazine was looking at my magazine and they had asked me, they said, they were asking about the photos in the magazine, said, who shot this and who shot that? And I was telling them, I shot that, I shot that, I shot that. And they looked at one photo and said, who shot this? And I named the person. And then they kept going through the magazine. And they looked at me and said, you said you pay other people to shoot? I said, yes. They were like, why? Your work is better than everyone that you just said that you pay. And that's when I took it. I took it even more serious and turned things around. And after stop publishing the magazine, I never stopped shooting. But then I said, you know what? I want to start shooting art. I want to get more creative with the things I shoot. And I push motorcycles and fashion and models to the side. I'm tired of that. I want to do something else now. And then I started, going out shooting a lot of abstract stuff. Just going out, and I was shooting everything from like signs and locks and poles, whatever I felt like shooting, I would shoot it, and I would try to shoot it from an artistic standpoint. And during that time, I was also going to a lot of art galleries, and I was just studying different forms of art, and I just wanted to incorporate that in my style, and that's basically what I did with my work.
Wow. Well, there's two things I got, as they say, pinned along your answer there. How did you get into motorcycle life? Where did that come from?
So let me tell you this. I never rode a motorcycle a day in my life. Never rode a motorcycle a day in my life. My mother tell you it's because as a kid, I was fascinated with Evel Knievel.
Okay.
And she would buy me every Evel Knievel toy that they made. And for all you younger folks, if you don't know who Evel Knievel is, he was a motorcycle stunt daredevil.
That's right. I had Evel Knievel too. I had a little motorcycle that jumped and everything. I had the little doll.
Look, if I know what I know now, I probably wouldn't have been playing with Evel Knievel. Didn't realize he was wearing a Confederate uniform.
Exactly.
But I was fascinated with Evel Knievel. She bought me everything. I had every motorcycle. I even had the camper and the rocket car. I had everything. So she'll tell you it was Evel Knievel. But I wanted to start a magazine and I wanted to start something that was not already on the market. And the market actually was already saturated with all these hip hop magazines and car magazines. And I was down in South Carolina, and I was actually at the University of South Carolina when I came up with the idea for Urban Bike. I was sitting at the light one day, and they had two different bike weeks. The week prior is Harley Bike Week, and that is 99% white males. The following week after that is Black Bike Week. So I never been to either one of them, but in South Carolina, they're both big. They're so big that in Myrtle Beach, those 2 weeks in Myrtle Beach, the Myrtle Beach businesses say those 2 weeks sustain their businesses for the entire year. That's how important they are to that region. Yes,
Wow.
that's how many people go to both bike weeks. So I saw all these black guys down there riding bikes, going down to the beach, and I'm wondering, is there a motorcycle magazine targeting this audience? So literally, I went to I don't remember which bookstore it was, maybe even Barnes and Nobles. I'm not
Okay.
sure. And I went through every magazine in the store, and what I noticed was not only isn't there a magazine, a motorcycle magazine targeting, black bikers, motorcycle magazines didn't even have black people in them.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
they weren't even in the
Exactly.
magazine. So what I did was I basically bought a bunch of magazines that included Source magazine, Dub magazine, and a few motorcycle magazines, and a tattoo magazine. And what I did was I literally ripped the pages apart,
Wow.
different sections, and I put the magazine that I wanted to create together. This is my mock-up. So what I wanted was I wanted a motorcycle magazine geared towards black bikers. But
Wow.
what are black bikers into, right? So they're into tattoos, but there wasn't a black tattoo magazine for black folks. So I said, okay, I'm gonna put a tattoo section in, and I'm gonna feature black tattoo artists, right? Then I said, looking at this audience, they don't dress like the guys that go to Harley Bike Week. Now, Harley Davidson is a lifestyle. Like
Yes.
anybody, whether they're black or white, that is a lifestyle. Everything
Yes.
they do is focused around Harley Davidson. They buy the clothes, everything. So, but I said these guys aren't wearing that. What are they wearing? They're wearing whatever the urban fashion is at that time, whether it's
Mm.
FUBU, Mecca, whoever it was, that's what they were wearing. So I put a fashion section in it, and I put a motorcycle safety section. I had all kinds of stuff in the magazine geared toward these bikers, right? Then I submerged myself in that culture. This is before I even started shooting, because I had to understand the
Wow.
culture. So I started going to different bike events, and I went down to Myrtle Beach. And when I got to Myrtle Beach for Black Bike Week, I realized the name of this is Black Bike Week, but when you look around, this isn't just black bikers. This is it's multi-ethnic groups there. You have black
Yes.
bikers, Asian bikers, white bikers, all
What?
types of bikers were there, Latin bikers, everyone's here. So I said, well, I have to find a common ground for all of the different groups here. They're all into bikes, but what else are they into? And as I was standing there listening and observing, everybody was playing hip hop.
Hmm.
So what I did was I broadened it. I made my magazine a motorcycle magazine geared towards the hip hop generation. And I didn't want
Wow.
to be what those other magazines were. I didn't want to limit myself to black bikers. I had to broaden my audience. And
Wow.
that's what I did. And that magazine, my first graphic designer, his name was Mike. We learned all this together.
Wow.
Mike was the my first graphic designer. He graduated from Pratt. And Mike said to me, we were downtown Brooklyn. That's when the printer was right where they built whatever that building is. Remember where the gas station used to be at on what is that? Is that Flatbush Avenue?
Yeah,
Right before
Flatbush,
you
and
get to the bridge.
I know we talk about where the Toro building is.
Yeah,
The
right before
tall.
you. Yes, yes.
It used to be.
So
There used to be a club there too.
yeah, so the printer was right there, and Mike said to me, printer walked out of the room. Mike said, "Yo, if you spending all your money on this magazine and you don't have no more money, how you gonna put out the second magazine?" My answer
Mm.
was, "Don't worry about that. Just put the first one out," because I felt like it's gonna be so good that we're gonna make money. We ain't have no
Yes.
advertisement, no advertisement in the magazine. It was fake ads in there. It was, somebody I might have gave a couple of people ads just to put so it's to draw in other advertisers.
Yes.
But it was no paid advertising in the magazine. And we put the
Wow.
first magazine out, and the magazine took off. It took off. And
Wow.
then Henry came along, right? Henry called me because he and Mike knew each other. They all went to Pratt. Henry called me, and after that, Mike did a good job. But after that, every issue from that day forward, Henry just constantly made the magazine better and better, and it just got better. We had all. I mean, it was a fun time, and it was a fascinating
Wow.
magazine. That's all I could say. To the point where Tyson Bedford, I had met Tyson Bedford, and Tyson Bedford rode motorcycles, and he actually called and was like, "Yo, I thought you was gonna have me on the cover of the magazine." That's how popular the magazine had become.
What?
Yeah, it just started to grow. It started to grow. We had Shaquille O'Neal on the cover of the magazine. Travis Barker. Matter of fact, I had I'm not sure if you remember American Chopper.
Yes, yes.
American Chopper was the #1 show on television. Out of everything, it was the #1 show on television. And American Chopper was on the cover of issue 2 of my magazine. And
Wow.
they wanted to do the magazine as much as I wanted them. They wanted to do the magazine. And
So how long did this magazine last? I mean, this comes from a guy that had never ridden a motorcycle in his life, and you went in and dove into this. This is something that can be also um, a good lesson there. You know, these are usually on our Wisdom Wednesdays. This is one of those gems I think is you saw a need, and we, in business we like to say a pain point,
yep,
where you didn't see it around, and you went in and dove into it, but also you didn't let you not being a motorcycle rider stop you for diving into the motorcycle community.
No, you know what? I felt like this. If I had worked at a publication, I probably would have
Yes.
never started the magazine. You know why?
Wow.
Because I would have known all the ins and outs, and I would have created fears. I would have created my own barriers. I would have had fears. Since I wasn't part of a publication, never worked in publication, I had no fear. How can I fear the
Mm.
unknown? So it was no fear. So I just jumped into it and went for it. That was
Fearless.
it. Fearless, fearless. And the funny thing is, a Japanese publication came over here to do a story on me. The funniest thing is, the owner of that publication, he spoke no English and I spoke no Japanese, but some kind of way we were able to communicate. And he brought his magazine and he opened it and he showed me where the poster was at in the magazine. The
Wow.
poster of his magazine was in the back. You know, and posters normally in the middle. Poster
Yes.
in the back. He said, "Got this from you." So my magazine, back to that first printer. When we like I said, we knew nothing. We were just learning this on the fly, how to put it together, how to print, and all this
Yes.
kind of stuff. We made a mistake. We put the poster. I thought we could just stick it on any page, and I stuck it on the page in the middle of the magazine. And the printer was like, "No, you can't do that. It has to." He explained it to us. He said, "But since you had a deadline, don't ask me why I had a deadline, because it was my first issue.
You can do it anytime you want.
I felt like coming out, but I gave myself a deadline, and when I wanted it out, and so the printer put the post in the back of the magazine, and it worked out, and it became a signature mark because I had
Mm.
people leaving me messages, voice messages saying, "I love the fact that the post is in the back of the magazine because when I rip it out, it doesn't tear the magazine,
Wow.
and it keeps the flow of the magazine." So that
Yes.
became a trademark. But that guy copied that. He copied that because that's the influence that we had. But he also was telling me how popular the magazine was in Japan. And so I said, "Should I do a Japanese version?" He's like, "No, no, no, no. Leave it like this because they love street, love street, love street." That's what he kept saying. They love street, meaning they love urban culture, and that's what I was giving them. That's what I was giving.
Wow.
Yeah. So it the magazine had a huge impact on biker culture. Yep.
Well, I hope that this story makes its way to the folks at the Harlem. I think it's no, sorry, in the South Bronx. The new museum that's going up and creating, and this sounds like it deserves a space.
You know what? Maybe it does. Maybe it does.
It sounds like it deserves a
It
space in
does.
the
It
hip
does
hop
someplace.
museum.
Yes.
Wow.
It
Okay.
does deserve a place. You know what? And that whole biker culture, especially at that time, Rough Rider was big. DMX was big. Matter of fact, tell you a story. So, like I said, I will be out in the summertime every day looking for stories.
Yes.
And DMX was shooting a video in my old neighborhood with this kid, Lake Luciano, right?
Okay.
He was shooting a video with Lakey, and I was waiting till he got finished. And before I knew it, he jumped in a van and they took off. The van was flying and they jumped on 59th Street Bridge. I literally chased him all the way to
No
125th
way.
Street. I chased him to 125th Street. And you know where the Amsterdam News is at? Right there? There
Yes.
used to be a check cashing place right there. And DMX went in that check cashing place. And I didn't know at the time the guy at the door wasn't letting anybody in. He happened to be the owner of Rough Rider Records, but he let me in.
Mm.
And I went in behind DMX and I was like, yo, I need you for my magazine. He was at the window getting money or cash or I don't know what he was doing. He's like, yo, get my number from such and such and such at the door. Yeah, and
You know,
I would do that all the time.
And this is, but this is showing also your fearlessness. You were fearless.
Yeah, and I would do stuff like that all the time.
You just got in the car and chased this guy down, and
From
you
Queens to
drove,
Harlem.
and you were like some movie.
Basically. They didn't know I was chasing them though.
Wow. So we're going to dive into some of your work also now that you know, because you just need to. But I also heard, and because we had the first thing, and we're going to, as we go into the second, I'm going to start showing your photos. If you want to pause me, you can stop me at any time to share. But you said you spent time in art galleries, or you are looking at art. How did art become so important to you, going to see these artworks?
You know what? I think part of that came from being in school, in college, having to take sculpture classes and fine art classes and stuff like that as electives. And at that time, I didn't take it serious. It was just like, it's an elective. I'm just going to get this quick A. You know, it's easy. You can get a quick A. But I also learned how to look at art. You know, art's kind of like poetry, I should say. You know, look deeper, look deeper into those words, understand those words, and that's how I started to look at art when I would go into galleries and museums. Also, I looked at the colors and mood, going back to college and taking up communications, how light can create mood. So I started looking at it. Certain colors, you know, can trigger certain emotions. So I will look at all the art and study that. Study the you know, the flows of the colors and just put all that into my work, and then realize, you know what, I also I wanted to separate myself from other photographers. I didn't want to. I want, you know, someone to look at my work and say, that's Carl Broady's work. That's what I always wanted.
You, because I know now when I see your work, I say that's Carl. So you have achieved that. But like I said, I mean, when you look at your photography, again, if I love art. I got into art when I was in college. One of my classes, I was like, I need 3 credits to finish up my, you know, to do my you know, not my term. And I said, oh, you know what, I'll just take up art because I like art. You know, I knew I like art, but I didn't know how much I would love art. And so I ended up taking a class in college in art, and that's when I started learning about the Impressionists and Renoirs and all these amazing artists, and Picasso and the elements and all that stuff. And I fell in love with the art. However, and I think it also is how I got into photography, because I would end up at these galleries looking at these amazing artworks, but then I stumbled upon Ansel Adams, and it was Ansel Adams' work that drew me into photography. Before you knew it, I had a whole house full of Ansel Adams all over the walls, and but you have incorporated a lot of amazing art techniques into your photography that when you stand in front of your work, it's like looking at a painting, but yet we know it's a
It-
photo.
it's funny because back then, I think it was more of his attitude than it was just his work. But I actually liked what's my guy's name? I just had him to slip of my tongue. Um, I'm getting
He'll
older.
come back. Don't worry. We'll
Yeah.
come back.
Jackson Pollock. Jackson Pollock. Jackson
There
Pollock.
you go.
If you look at Jackson Pollock's work, if you look at Jackson Pollock's work, it looks like he just let the paint just do whatever it wanted to do. But Jackson
Yeah.
Pollock's attitude also was like, I don't care. He had this attitude about there's no boundaries. Who are you to say what's good? And
Mhm.
that's the kind of like the attitude I have when it comes to photography. Who are you? Like art is subjective, right? It's
Yes.
subjective. It's all relative to the individual. Who is to say what's good and what's bad art, right? Who like, come on, let's be. If you're being creative, and you're thinking outside the box, I think that makes it good. At the end of the day, I think
Mm.
when it's same with photography, when people when they create these boxes and these restrictions, you limit yourself. You have to
Yes,
step
yes,
outside of that. That's the same in life in general. You have to step
yes,
outside of the box. If you just stay in that box, and you'll never experience anything. You'll never create anything. So that's how I
yes,
look at it. So Jackson Pollock is someone I used to look at and say, you know what, Jackson Pollock. If you look at his work, like his original works, um, you'll find gum in his work, cigarette butts in his work.
yes,
Because he didn't care. But this was creative. That was his creative process, part of it actually. So that's how sometimes I approach it. I don't think about, oh, will this person like it or the gallery like it? No, I'm creating something totally different at the end of the day.
Thomas says, wow, Pollock pushed all of our boundaries and pushed us beyond. I
Mm-hmm.
love that. And yeah, Gwendolyn says, great question. Who are you to say? Yeah. And Omar says, I photographed Pollock's paintings. Look at that.
Mm-hmm.
And here we go. And I see here, Kim says, loving this story and how things influence your career and life. So just a bunch of folks are sharing and enter. So let's go to, as I'm going through your photos, anything jump out that you want to share? I mean, like you take pictures of everything, just like you just described.
You know
You
what?
take pictures of everything.
Everything. And actually I started playing around. So you got this picture that you have right here. This is a
Mm-hmm.
mixed media piece that I started playing with because I also realized with the magazine, when I
Mm-hmm.
started the magazine, I had a lot of big companies calling me wanting to advertise in the magazine. One of them was Harley Davidson, and a lot of
Wow.
the smaller publications would say to me that when I knew the publisher writers and editors and stuff of these magazines, they all asked me. Several of them asked me, "How is that a local Harley Davidson dealership or is that Harley Davidson?" I said, "This is Harley
Wow.
Davidson from Milwaukee." I said, Harley Davidson from Milwaukee called me to be in this magazine. And what they did was they sent me, I had the fashion section in the magazine, right? Harley Davidson, when they called me, they said, we found your magazine in the airport and we realized this is the only magazine targeting Black bikers. And we want to know how can we get our clothes in your fashion section. See, they wanted to be in the fashion section.
Mm.
And they told me we are trying to change our audience. This is the audience we're going after. So they also wanted me to give them information, but I can't give you the free information. So
Yes.
what I told them was send me the clothes and we'll photograph and put them in the fashion section. At that time, I lived downtown Brooklyn, and my ex and I, right? They sent us. When I tell you, I asked for one of this and one of that and one of this. I'm expecting one box to come. When I got home, and we had a loft. The ceilings were high. They sent
Wow.
boxes, dozens of everything, and said keep it. And said keep it. And I told her, I said we're not keeping. I said take one jacket. I'll take one jacket, and we send everything back. I told her that because They rather just give me clothes and not pay me. I want them to advertise with me, you know? So I put them in
Yes.
the fashion section and I
Yes.
sent everything back. Sent everything. They were like, "Oh, we told you to keep it." I don't want it because you think you're just gonna be to send me clothes. But I realized then the power of the magazine and the power of controlling our media.
Yes.
Things totally changed after that. One,
Uh,
you want to reach an audience that you can't reach, but you know I can reach them. So you know what? You're willing to pay for that. You know, I also realize it's important for us to control our images. It's important for us to control the media that, our all of our media. And then I start that's to actually, and that is also
mm,
how I started looking at my images after I stopped publishing the magazine. I looked at this and
wow.
said, I want to tell stories of my people. And I want these stories to be positive images. I didn't want the same
Yes.
images. I didn't want, any negative images of us. I didn't want images of us, poverty and despair. For some reason, galleries love to sell Black poverty and despair. Don't ask me why they sell it
Yes.
all the time, but they
Yes.
love it. And
But
I
it's
get
the same
tired of
thing in
seeing it.
music. It's the same thing with music. They if it's
Exactly.
negative, you
They're
you
gonna
you
sell
got
it.
it. Your record's gonna make it. If you are
Yep.
talking about the positivity of the Black community or the Black experience, then they don't want to have nothing
Nothing
to
to do
do
with
with
it.
um the good images or the good music that represents the good, which is well over wide and
Exactly.
overwhelming of opportunities to share the goodness of people of color, but mainly the Black
Yeah.
community.
I mean, this conversation could segue into so many
Yeah,
other areas and topics, but I'm gonna keep it to photography today.
yeah,
So that's why
yeah.
most of my images, you will not see me shoot the negative images. You will not see me shoot those anything that I perceive to be a negative image of us. I'm not going to shoot it's just not something I want to show. I want to show us in a totally different light because at the end of the day, I think there's more positive Black folks than there are the ones doing the negative. I mean, we get enough of that on YouTube and social media today. Like I'm sick of it. I don't want to
Totally.
see every
Yes,
time you turn
yes,
around there, they show images of us running in the stores, snatching everything. And how many other folks did this today that didn't look like us? But you're gonna show
yes.
the images. But I mean, so I don't want to show that. One image that I actually one of my favorite images is yeah, I don't know if you see it here. Yeah, I don't know if you have it up here, but I shot a group of men. It was about 2 years ago. Down on if you go through, keep going down, go all the way down, and I'll show it to you, and I'll tell you why it's important to me.
There's so many beautiful images. I was like, going through your
Keep
page is
going,
so calming.
keep going, keep going. I should have sent it to you, but I started thinking about it now.
No, this is why we're live. This is the great thing about being on YouTube is that we can go at
Okay.
our own pace and we can do whatever we want. So it's not like it's a television show and time constraints and you gotta, but it's definitely, I mean, look at all this work. It's just so beautiful. And
Keep
you
going.
definitely have a signature.
Let me see where it's at. Keep going, keep
Hmm.
going. Is this the
That's the
bottom?
bottom. Yep, at the bottom
Up a
now.
little bit. I don't know if I posted it. Maybe I didn't post it. I thought I had it on. I know I posted on my old page, but go back up. I'm going to talk about the image. I'm going to talk about another one too.
Okay.
Slow down, slow down. It's a group right here. Go up, right, go up, go up. There's the women sitting on the train together, right here in the middle.
And
Go
hold on a
above the
second.
lady with her hand under the chin.
Okay, there we go. Got it.
Yeah.
Got
But let
it.
me go. I'll talk about this one, but let me go back to the image of the guys I was showing you, talking about. So this group of men, they all went to college together. They were all lawyers, and
Hmm.
they started a company, and that company had just went public that day. And they invited me to the stock exchange, and I was
Oh,
at the stock exchange the day their company went public. So in my head, I already had a photo in my head. I don't know who the photographer is, but it's a famous photo of the group of young boys in Chicago, like 1930s photo, and
yes.
they're standing in front of the car. You know the photo I'm talking about?
No, I don't. I've never
Okay.
seen it.
But it's a famous photo. And in my head, I was like, I'm gonna shoot a photo just like that. I said, I don't
Wow.
necessarily need the car, but the images are gonna represent that same. So they all had on their suits right in front of the stock exchange, and I shot this icon. To me, it's an iconic photo
Yes.
of these gentlemen. On the day that their company went public, and I feel like that it's an important photo because you always hear about the athlete,
Yes.
the rapper, you hear about all the entertainers, but these are the guys that we don't hear about, and that photo to me represents, who we are, you know, who we are as a people. These are young black men, successful young black men, you know. And I want young kids to see you can be more than just an athlete to be
Yes.
successful. So
You
that's why
you
that photo is so important to me. But now with this photo,
yes.
this photo actually is being, this photo is actually at the show in Southampton. It's being
Yes.
auctioned off for the Fatter Fund. Um,
Wow.
yeah, so
Man.
it's
What was the inspir what how did you what led you to take the picture of these women, these young women?
I'll tell you, I was sitting on the F train.
Yes.
Um, One of those days I just got up and jumped on the Metro North, took the Metro North into New York, and then jumped on the first train. Walked up the
Wow.
block, jumped on the train, walked into the F train. That's all I said I was going to do. So I'm going to take the train, go up the block, get on the F train, ride to Coney Island, and I'm just going to shoot. And when we got past, I would say J Street and everything,
Okay.
the demographics started to change. Actually, the Jewish women actually got on a train on 34th Street. They were already sitting there.
Uh-huh.
And then we got to Brooklyn, the Muslim women got on the train. And as I'm sitting there, I had one camera on my shoulder, one in front of me, and the Muslim girl with the black hijab, she looked at
Yes.
me and she smiled, but I didn't want her smiling, looking at me. So she realized I put the camera down, but I had the cell phone in my hand. So that's actually a cell phone shot.
I
And
always say the power of the smartphone.
I flipped the
Anyway,
phone
go
up
ahead.
and I shot that photo with my phone. And the reason I shot this, because when I looked and I saw you have 3 Hasidic Jewish women
Yes, I
and
know where you were
4
going.
Muslim women sitting side by side on the train. And this was 2 weeks before the current war broke out. I said
Wow.
side by side, and the only thing dividing them is that pole right here. That's the only thing.
Yes.
And they're sitting side by side peacefully. And that's similar to their country, to the conflict. They have the Gaza Strip dividing them.
Yes.
They're basically one people. And if you look at them, they look like they could just be, we're the same people. That's what we are. But if you look, the audience can't see it right now unless they go to my page. But if you look behind them, there's a sign. And on that sign was some hiring platform. Not sure which
I
hiring
see up here at the
platform.
top, right here.
But what I did was, you see where it says One Planet? You see it says One
Yes.
Planet? So, like I said, I don't know Photoshop. I just use Lightroom and I know how to manipulate light. I play around, I manipulate the light in my photos. That's basically all I do. All I did was I lightened that up and darkened what was around it, just so that one planet can stand out. Because
Yes.
look, that's the message right there. We're all one planet.
And
And
for
and
those that don't know what that is, for those are not photographers, uh, that was dodge and burn, as they call it in the old
exactly.
days.
Dodge and burn.
Yeah, dodge and burn. And you what you do is you take these elements in your picture and you can manipulate it just slightly without it being so
Mhm.
in your face, unless you want it to be in your face.
Yes.
But you bring down certain levels of the color or the shadows so that you can highlight certain elements, so you can bring those elements together.
And that's basically what I did with this one. And I wanted that one planet to stand out. So when it was time to title this image, I kept
Hmm.
it simple. And the title of this image is "This is what peace looks like."
Wow.
Just kept it real simple. This is what peace looks like because they're at peace. Look at them; they're all at peace.
Simplicity is beauty,
Hmm.
and this is another reason why I love New York. is that you get these moments. I always say these moments are a universal gift. It's when the universe brings these things together, and then you, as a photographer, are sensitive to your world, and then you pause to take the click, because no one else on that train probably saw this. No one else probably was able to see the dynamics of these Jewish people and the Arab people together on one bench, just like in between those two rails.
Mm-hmm.
And then you got the dividing line. It was like the universe was saying, here we go. And you were sensitive to hear it and see it and photograph it. And that's why, most folks, most people might in this community have heard me say, what we do as photographers, we have a calling. It is higher than just clicking a button. Our job is to photograph the subjects, the things, the people that people go by every day and they
Mm-hmm.
just never see it. But
Exactly.
our job is to be sensitive to the universe, have a connection, and when the universe drops it in front of us, we click it.
And and that's the thing. Like, people always ask me, "Oh, can I go out with you and shoot? I want to just follow and see your process." No, I can't have you with me, because guess what? If I have you with me, I'm going to be teaching you and not focusing. I'm not going to see. I would miss that. If I had anybody with me, I would have missed that.
Yes.
But so, because for me, it's not just taking the photo. I want to tell the story, but I want it to have an impact. I want that photo when other people look at that. I want them to see peace. I want you to see this is what
Mm,
our society should really be striving for. We should be striving for peace at the end of the day. So most of my photos, there's an underlying message in there. You just have to look at it and understand it.
well, I'm
Like,
telling you,
this is
everyone draws
another
me in.
one. This is another one of those images for I feel is a powerful image also.
Yes.
You have the little baby fist bumping the big man. And I
Yes.
titled this "My Brother's Keeper." Because we as black men, we have to protect the young black boys.
Yes.
I was having a conversation with somebody the other day. Only a black man can teach a black boy how to be a black man. you know,
Yes.
because of our life experiences. He doesn't necessarily have to be your child, but you have to help teach and raise that child. The saying, it takes a village to raise a
Takes a
child.
village.
Yeah, and that is the truth. And so when I shot this photo, and it just happened to be at the right place at the right time, and he fist bumped him, bow. That's it. That right there, the power of this image is in that fist bump. That's the
That
power of the image.
is so beautiful. I mean, again, your work is so. And can I say your work speaks for itself?
Thank
Meaning, I don't ever have to kind of like guess what I'm watching when I'm looking at your work. When I'm looking at your work, I know exactly what you're trying to tell me,
And you know what?
and you're very intentional.
Yes. Yes.
Man, I can go on and on. And I'm not, and for those that know that, in this season, if we go long, we go long. I'm not going to stop the momentum of our shows,
Go long.
because
I'm enjoying it.
when you can get a photographer on, in this environment to share their work, to share their mindset, to share their thoughts. And this is and this gets, and the gift of technology of having YouTube and recording this, and this is going to live online forever as long as online exists. And so I realized in this season that these conversations, they they can't be limited. So I know there's a time at some point, but I do not want to stop because, we're gonna be here for an hour, unless you have to go. But this is really good. I'm gonna ask some, and we're gonna get some photos that you sent me. But I want to take some time also, if anyone has any questions. If you have a question, make sure you hit Q and then put your question. So that way we know your questions when you're talking. But meanwhile, I do have one question that was here. And David Mascaro says, he asked the question. Here we go. He says, do you put yourself in a particular genre? Looking at your Instagram, amazing work. And I think you already answered it, but you can expound on it if you want to.
No, I don't. Do I focus? I would just say, do I focus on one more than than another? Probably yes, because as I said, it goes back to me understanding the importance of media and the images that we share. So I focus more probably on Black culture probably than I do other things, because I feel like I have an obligation. It's an obligation for me to use my platform, my talent to write the narrative. Let's say that. So I have an obligation. But I don't limit myself to what I shoot. I shoot, there's sometimes I go out and I know exactly what I'm going out looking for and I'm going to shoot. There's times where I may go create my shot. Like I have a collection called the Single Red Rose, the Red Rose collection on my website, and it just tells a story of love. No, I do not have just one genre. I don't put barriers and limit myself at all.
Yeah, I see here. Janice says, "Love Carl's thinking."
Thank you.
That's the thing that drew me in. I said, "This is a thinking brother." When we had our conversation, I was like, "This guy." I mean, you really, like I said, you're intentional about everything you do, especially your work. You are very intentional.
I try to be.
I see here another question. Amparo says, how did you get into gallery exhibitions?
Okay, I'm going to use a profanity, an explicit.
Get ready, Ron.
I'm gonna tell you exactly how it was said to me when I was talking to someone. I went to the APAD show. You guys familiar with the show, right?
Yes.
And when it used to be on the west side, right off the West Side Highway, I was at the show, walking around, and I said to one woman, I said, "How do I get my work in the galleries and get it in here?" She said, "To be honest with you, it's all bullshit." That's exactly what she said. And at that moment, she threw everything out the door. Everything went out the window. She said, "Listen, keep going to galleries and coming to shows like this, and people will get to know you. And when they get to know you, they'll invite you to bring your work and put you on one of their shows." She said, "That's exactly how it's going to go." She said everything else is just BS. That's what she told me, because I would go to these shows and I would walk around. I'm like, "How do you get that in there? How do you get that in here? How do you get that in here?" You look at work and
yes,
like, I don't get it. And especially and when it came to us, that's the other thing. It was very limited to what I saw that represent us.
Yes.
Other people shoot us, but we ain't in there.
That's right.
So when she said that, it just changed my thinking. Oh, okay, no problem. But also, what I did was I started to take the path of rappers from back in the early days. A lot of rappers didn't wait for record companies. Like Eazy-E, they went and started their own label. So I had a friend. He was 15, and he spent $1,000, pressed 1,000 copies of a record, which has been bootlegged multiple times since then, but it's a hit. He was the first remix. He did the first remix long before Puff Daddy. His name is DJ Hot Day, and he did a Reach Out and Touch remix of New Edition. It is a hip hop classic to this day, and he did that back then, but he used his own money. So I said, you know what? I'm not asking anybody if I could be in their show. Just create my own shows,
Wow.
And then I did that, and then doors start opening up. Do it myself. I put my money behind me. Same thing I did with the magazine. I'm not waiting. I'm putting my money behind me. Wow. And there's other things like there's some things I want to do coming up in 2025, where I may have to kick out some money, but I'm gonna invite other photographers in. and I want to create something similar to what Art Basel is, but I want to do it for photographers. Because
Yes.
there, when you're creating paintings and stuff like that, there's more opportunity for you. Photographers don't get the same opportunities, and photographers are not even looked at sometimes as artists. Some galleries don't
Yes.
look
It's
at
a
photographers.
hobby. They
Yeah,
think it's a hobby.
exactly, and they also believe, oh, photography is easy. Anybody can pick up a phone and take a picture.
Yes.
That's what they believe,
Yes.
but they don't believe, that all the technical skills that's behind the scenes. And even in some of it, they even look at it like, oh, and they could do that in Photoshop. They don't. So anyway, with that being said, I want to
It's
create
a,
an opportunity for other photographers to come in as well, and now we can showcase our work and showcase it as art, which it is. Um, and Jamel says, any upcoming exhibitions? So
yes.
yes, there's actually right now for 2025. I have three. Actually one opened yesterday. I did the install yesterday, and that one is called Reflections, and basically that exhibition is all the work at that exhibition. What I did was it's reflection. It's a reflection of my work as I walk through inner city environments. I don't like to say urban because then when you say urban, people automatically think, oh, Black. No, it's inner city environments, any inner city. And what I want you to see is that there's beauty everywhere around us. There's art all around us. We just have to take the time to slow down and look at our environment, look past the grit, the grime, and the dirt and all of that kind of stuff, and just look at your surroundings, and you will find beauty. You will find art. And if you have a camera in your hand, take your camera out and you shoot it. So that's what
Yes.
that exhibition really shows. It's just showing everyday things that the average eye would just walk by and not pay attention to. So all those images are just things that we walk by every day, and I just shot it and showed it as art. And on Friday is the opening ceremony, and that opening ceremony is two things. It's kicking off the exhibition, but also once again the Fatter Fund will be there. They're
Yes.
actually sponsoring that event. It's also going to be a fundraiser for the event, Fashion and the Arts. So that's what that event is all about. Yep. And then I'm going to be in an exhibition with the Black Photographers Collective. I'm not sure of the exact dates. I won't be talking about that just yet, the dates, but that event's coming up. And then I have another Black History event in forgot what part of Long Island it is. And then my
Wow.
current event that's going on, has been going on since November, is at the National Jazz Museum, where there's an entire jazz collection that focuses on jazz music in the Harlem community. So that's going on right now in the National Jazz Museum, and that ends January 31st.
Oh, I gotta make my way up there. I gotta do a little story on that. I gotta make my way there.
And just let you know, so in the National Jazz Museum they're open to the public Thursday to Saturday from 11 to 5.
Yes.
Don't tell them I told you, but if you get there on the other days, they usually have private events and they'll still let you in.
Okay, gotcha. I see Jamel's in there.
Yes.
A bunch of folks there that I recognize. You are a member. There's no official Black Photographers Collective as in membership, even though they are taking numbers and information for everyone to be a part of it. This is why I have this platform, is that I think all of us working together can bring recognition and observation to Black photographers. That is, I mean, obviously, I love, I love lots of work.
Mhm.
I lots of my heroes are from different backgrounds. But I, I talk about photography on this platform and said, hey, how can we, like these Wisdom Wednesdays, and then we're going to start doing some Focus Fridays where we start interviewing as well for this new season, is that we can bring these positive images of our community. We can share and highlight these incredible photographers. There are so many amazing Black photographers. I mean, until I got exposed to spending more time with the Black collective and other different, people that have their little groups, but the Black collective, and also when we had this summer, we all got together at the Brooklyn Museum and did the big photo, and me making my rounds and just interviewing people and talking to people. It was the most fulfilling of things I could have done in a while.
Yeah, it
And
felt good.
and it was just like all of these Black photographers, and but you had the ones that were seen and known, and then you had so many that were not known, but they were known in their own circles. They were known in their own neighborhoods. They were known in their group.
And everyone treated each other as equals.
Yeah, and everyone
There
was
was no
equal.
egos. There was
No
no egos.
egos.
No
There were
egos.
no egos. And I'm hoping that this platform could be a leg or an arm that extends to our community, so that people can actually see the work and the positive work that is. Because I'm like you. I'm about photographing the positivity. We can, I guess, I'll never forget. It was years ago. I used to be a youth director, and we took our young people on a choir trip to what they call the Four Corner States. And then we ended up, it was a Four Corner States ministry or whatever. And we went to this place in Oregon. And I will never forget this as long as I live. I was the youth pastor, youth director. And I ended up interacting with their youth director and their youth pastors. And when our kids got off the bus, their kids had never seen Black people in real life.
Wow.
This was a place where everyone was blonde hair, blue eyes, and they were Christians. They loved God, and but they had never, ever seen a Black person. This is in America. This is like 1990. I think it's like 1996 or 97. Never, ever saw a Black person in real life.
What was the interaction like at that moment?
Wow. They were like, "Can we touch your
I
hair?
was about
Can we
to
do
ask, did they ask that
this?"
question?
But what was interesting is that our kids, because our choir was multi-racial, so we had kids that were Black, white, Spanish. Our kids was like, we had everybody that represent New York in our choir. And what was interesting, though, is that their youth pastor told me, he says, "I am so glad you guys came. You guys came to visit." And the reason why he said this, he goes, "You are giving our kids something that no one else could give them." He goes, "I went to school with people from different backgrounds. However, all these kids see are Black people on the news being arrested, in trouble. All the images that they see of Black people are negative."
They have a negative image.
And he says, and seeing all of you guys together, and the love and the connection and the laughter and the fun. And he says, he goes, "I've had the experience, but I wanted my kids to have this experience." And we spent about 2 or 3 days in this particular area. And at the end of this time together with these kids, all these white kids with all these kids from the inner city. And so these are kids also that were wealthy kids versus kids that were from the urban center, which we were from the urban. And when those kids, at the end of those I think it was 2 days we stayed there, the white kids started to cry when we left. And I am a believer that it is our obligation as photographers to share the goodness of what we offer as a Black community diaspora and who we are as a people. But it also, in doing so, it becomes a leg or a vehicle for us to move into communities that would not normally associate with us. And so it's a big picture in how our photography goes out into the world. But like looking at your work, I'm sure there's people that come across your photography and they
Do me
go,
a favor, 1 second.
wow.
I want to piggyback on what you just said.
Yeah.
Can you just stroll down for a second? If not, I'll just run over here.
Oh yeah, I got scrolled. Hold on a second. Let me get that cursor over there. There we go.
Go down the other way. Go the opposite
up.
direction. Just go down slow.
Mm-hmm.
I want to find this image, and I'll tell you why I created this. This collection that I'm working on.
Just love your work. Oh, look at that. You really live New York. Do you have like a particular day that you go out, or do you just wake up and say, I'm going out to the streets today?
Just wake up when you have it and go out.
The same here. Yeah. We just wake up and walk out into the streets.
Let me see. All right, go back up. Wait, go down a little more. And if it's not here, then I'm gonna go run over here and grab the photo. I gotta stop.
Well, what's good about this?
Go down a little more. It should be coming
is
up.
that people are seeing all of this work. You will get lost on his page when you go to see his page on Instagram. Wow.
I'm trying to find an image. It has the Nation of Islam walking, a group of FOI.
Oh wait,
go down. Keep going down. No, that's the young kids. No, those are the young kids.
That was the young kids. Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, but
we're going down.
The adults were behind them.
Ah.
And I want to tell you about this photo.
And again, if you have any questions, guys.
Right here. Click on that image right there.
Right here?
No, the Nation of Islam, black and white. You just had it.
I had it. There we go.
Right there. So this image right here, last February, for Black History Month, I was invited to do an exhibit, and they asked, can they see a few of the images before I set up, before I come over, and I sent them maybe like 2 weeks prior, and I got a call saying, don't bring that image right there. That one image. They said, don't bring that image, and I said the same thing. Why? And then he's like, that image, it may turn some people off, and it may scare some people.
Wow.
Turn people off and scare them. And so I was like, scare people, turn them off. Why? So later that night, I literally sat in my living room. When I started sitting in the living room, the light was up.
Yes.
And when I realized I was still sitting there thinking about it, it was dark. I don't know how long I've been sitting there, but I was thinking about it for a while, like, because I'm trying to figure out, what is it about that image that scare people? And actually, let me tell you, and this was a black woman that said this to me. Black woman said this to me. She said, don't bring it, because so, and like I said, I started thinking, why are black men so feared? We are feared. So now go back out for a second, and I'm going to show you another image that goes with this. So I started thinking, go up the other way, go back up, go up, keep going.
Wow. Yeah, I saw that photo and I was like, I love.
Go up, keep going. Stop right here. Stop right. Go right. Go down. Right here with the guy with the red shirt. Right there. Stop right there. Now click on that. Yes. So what I started working on, and you'll see it, Nature of the Threat. That's the title of this project I'm working on. Once again, this is the obligation that we as photographers have. And I said, to myself sitting in the living room, I said, black men are the most feared. Why are we so feared and hated? And I said to myself, I'm going to create a series on just black men. And I want all black men of all walks of life. I want the black doctor, the black lawyer, the whoever you are. I want the black father, everything. I want to tell the story of black men. And I only asked 3 questions when I started this. The question was who you are, and that's an open-ended question where I ask people, just tell me who you are, give me some background story on who you are, your family dynamics, tell me all of that. The last question I asked, and you can spin it any way you want, I asked, why should they fear you? Because my fear, I tell people, you should fear me now because I hold this camera. You should fear me because I hold this camera and what I can do with this camera.
Yes.
And some people flip it, any way you want. But everyone tells this, and I asked this, and the second question I actually asked is, when did you realize you were a threat and people feared you? And every black man goes into pretty much the same. Actually, this is son and father right here.
Yes.
Terry's the father. The shorter one is the father. And Terry's the only one who had a different story about how when he first experienced, that he was a threat and people feared him. But everyone else story pretty much starts around the same age, between 12 and 14, when they had their first interaction with the police. And it made me realize at a young age, we lose our innocence. Black boys lose that youthful innocence. We become a threat. Like a young white kid, they don't experience this. Young, unless you're a dark complected Latino, you may experience it. But for the most part, everyone else does not understand. That's why I said only a black father can raise a black boy. No one else, because no one else understands what we go through. Now, what I was doing was I was just going to have a photo exhibit, and on the cards, it was just going to say, this is Terry, this is what he does for a living, and have that whole blurb you could read about, you would be able to read about it. But then my guy Henry was like, no, we can't do just that. We got to videotape this. So we started videotaping everybody. And so we're putting together, the video and everything, like a documentary to go along with the photo. So my thing is I'm going to have a whole photo exhibit with all these black men of all walks of life, and I'm breaking all those negative stereotypes that that you said those kids saw. I'm going to show you that black men, we are fathers. Black men are educated. Because you always hear, the black fathers aren't around for black kids. You hear this.
It's not true.
Yeah,
and that's a stereotype.
And the day I shot Terry, the day I shot this photo, I was just going to shoot Terry, but then he had his son and his granddaughter with him. So I was like, you know what? Although when I display this stuff in the museum, the large photo is going to be just a photo of Terry, but then there's going to be always a photo of the family as well. That's how I started. I started doing it because it's very important for us to show who we are. Change the narrative.
Change the narrative. Control your story.
Exactly. We control the story, because those kids out in where you were at, they don't get a chance to see this. This is what they need to see. It's actually probably more important for them than it is for the black community. To see this.
Like I said, when we left that, it was like a Bible camp or something, and the kids, they had bonded so much over those 2 days that the white kids and some of the kids from our choir as well, they were crying because they were so happy to have new friends, and some of them maintained friendships over the years where they took each other's information and they communicated. I have a couple more questions from the audience and from our community, and I want to get them all in. So here's another question. I see here. Name your top 3 platforms to use for editing.
Is that for me or is that for
That's
you?
That's for you.
I only use one. I only use one platform. All I use is Lightroom.
Yeah,
That's
I'm the
it.
same way. I only use
I don't do
Lightroom.
anything else.
I keep trying to do. I keep trying to get better with Photoshop, but I am a Lightroom. I move, I manipulate, move,
Mhm.
and change, and edit slides, and I know Lightroom because the first thing I was taught when I became a photographer, and I've just it's what I use as well.
Yeah,
So
I just use
Lightroom.
Lightroom. That's it.
Lightroom, but for the if you want to know the other two that I may venture into, for myself is I'll venture into Photoshop, usually on Express. Is usually when I'm moving around the city and I'm photographing, and then I want to get some post out to whoever I need to send them. My other one is called Snapseed for my smartphone. I mentioned that a lot to folks. For those, most of us are smartphone carriers, and Snapseed is just like Lightroom, but it's Lightroom free. You don't have to pay
Mhm.
for it, and it has all of these beautiful tools to make photos better. And the question I always get is, do you ever post without editing? 99% of my photos, when I post something, they've been edited, even if it's just been to fix the contrast or fix the light, because your camera doesn't give the total picture of what you're seeing.
Mhm.
Our eyes see everything, but our cameras still cannot see every single detail. So you need to bring up some of your shadows or take down some of your highs. Yeah, highs.
And
I
also,
hmm?
you know, when you're editing, for me, my editing, like I said, I'm trying to draw attention to. I may want to draw attention to one specific area and to create the mood. So that's
Yes.
what I mainly use it for as well.
Cause you do it, yeah. I mean, you do a lot of dodge and burn, and cause when I look at your photos, I'm like, you are telling a story. There's again, like I said, there's no guessing when I see your work. There's no guessing of what you're trying to tell me.
You know, I get a
Uh,
lot of people. A lot of people ask me. They ask me my process of how I edit and I guess the motivation behind my style. So at the National Jazz Museum, a lot of people was asking that question. I told people is my style is actually three styles basically. Norman Rockwell, the colors.
mm,
I always like Norman Rockwell's colors. If you look at all his work, the illustrations, bright colors. Um, Annie Leibovitz, how she, because you know Annie Leibovitz, if you know her history, Annie Leibovitz was a fine artist. She was a painter first, then became a
yes,
photographer. So when she photographs, that's why her work looks like paintings. And I
yes,
like the way she mats her images. So I took that mat from her.
and she does
And
a lot of color grading.
yes, yes.
Yes,
And then um, Gordon Parks, because his work, the impact that his work has.
whew,
So, you know,
Gordon Parks.
those are my influences right there when it comes to my work. So when I'm out shooting, a lot of the times when I'm shooting our people, I'm thinking Gordon Parks ish, you know. But I also at the same time, this side of my head is saying, but when I shoot this, we're going to edit it like this because I'll literally stand there before I take the shot. Some shots are spontaneous; you just got to get it when you get it. But
Right.
sometimes when I'm standing, I'm looking in my head. I'm thinking about the shot. I'm thinking about how I'm editing, and I look at and I see the finished product. I just see it already. This is what it's going to look like when it's done. And about maybe about a month ago, I actually put 3 videos up because people kept saying they didn't believe that I went out and shot the shot. Like, so I put 3 videos up showing me walking to the shot, shooting the shot, and then I show the finished product. So they realized it's not a whole lot of, there's no Photoshop and all that. No, none of that in there. This is exactly what I shot, and this is what you get. You see the video. I did that just so people would realize it's not a whole lot of magic. Because someone said to me, "Oh, can you take this photo?" Because people always want to tell me, "Take my photo and create the magic that you do." No, first I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to work on your photos because it's not mine. But it's not, and it's also not that easy. Yo, I just stick it in there and hit a button. No, everything I do is a process.
There's a
Yo,
process. There's a
it's not just I do
process.
some magic. No, 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 no. But I also want to realize it's also not a lot that you think. You probably think that I'm doing Photoshop, playing around, I really want you to realize it's not a lot that I put into this also. It's actually the actual shot. This is how I shoot it. I, like you said, I just bump up, I like to bump up my contrast and stuff like that. And that's it, not a whole lot of magic going on.
Yeah, we keep it simple. You bring up something that also I learned in one of my classes as I started to venture into photography. And I say this all the time to people that when I'm having these conversations, because I've been trained to do so, is just like yourself, is that we see the shot in its finished form before we click the button. It's like we see we see something, we frame it in our heads, we frame it, we see it, we look at it, we analyze it, we look at the story that is about to saying, and then in our heads, and this happens instantaneously, and you are already seeing the finished product before you ever click the button.
And another thing also, so I shouldn't say there's no magic, because there is magic. One of the things I learned also, this goes back to shooting on analog back in the day. Remember, film is expensive.
Yes, it is.
You had to learn how to get it right in the camera. So when I started shooting on digital, everything that I learned back then, my white balance, my ISO, I learned all of that, how to set all these things, and that's the great thing about digital, that back then, you can set it and you can shoot, but you still, you're not sure what you might get sometimes.
Yes,
but
yes.
Today I could set it. I learned my camera. I all the adjustments. I make all the adjustments to the shutter speed and all that. So when I shoot it, there's not a whole lot of editing that has to go into it.
Yes.
And some people will say, "Oh, well, you're shooting digital. You can shoot 1,000 images." This is true. You could shoot 1,000 images. You got to go through 1,000 images.
You want it as least shots as possible.
Exactly. So when I come home, I might have been out 8 hours, but when I come home, I might only have 50 images. Sometimes I've been out all day, came home with 10 images, and I was happy with all 10.
Yes, yes.
I don't need to shoot 1,000. I already know what I want, and I got it right then and there when I was there. So, and the other thing, I don't
in cameras, they say.
When it comes to my colors, I don't use a flash. No matter the time of day, I don't use a flash. I just make all the adjustments right then and there on the camera, because I like natural light, and when you're not using the flash, you get the natural colors, and they're easy to work with. So all you photographers using flashes at night, practice shooting without a flash. Just practice shooting without them. You'll be surprised at what you get. Trial and error.
Here's another question for you. This is from GR Houston Jack. She says, how did you select where to distribute your magazine? Came in late in the interview, so maybe I missed this.
You know what? From day one, everything I did from day one just fell in place. The printer that I found, he was printing a lot of magazines at that time. He was printing, you remember Black Men?
Yes.
He was printing Black Men, Hype Hair, Right On. He printed Feds magazine. He's printing a lot of magazines. Wow. So he was already connected with a consultant who basically connected me. I paid him, and he connected me with the distributor. And as you grow, then bigger distributors come knocking on your door. Just like the music business, I would say, now you're getting hot. You need to come on over here. And that's how that basically worked out. Yeah.
Well, here's another question, and this is from David Mascaro. He says, would say the majority of your work is in your community?
Nope. I would say this. I owned an auto transport company and drove from East Coast to the West Coast transporting cars. So you'll see work from everywhere. You'll see work from all over the country. But yeah, I guess the majority of my work would be from from New York, because this is where I live. I live in Connecticut, but I'm only 35 minutes outside of New York. So I guess yes. Actually, I don't even shoot in Connecticut. I just think where I live at is boring. So I gotta go to New York because it's more interesting. Mm-hmm.
Here's another question. Dr. Tachi says, question, what is a dream photograph for you?
I haven't
What
shot it
is
yet.
a dream photograph for you?
I haven't shot it yet.
You haven't shot it
Yeah,
yet.
I haven't shot it yet, so I can't say what a dream photograph is. I think we're all photographers, right? Photographers. Every time we shoot an image, we think that was better than the last image, right? Like
Yeah.
how often do we? Oh, this is my best one today. So I can't say what is my dream image. I don't think I shot that image yet. I don't think
Wow.
I shot it yet. To be honest with you.
Yeah, one of my favorites of mine is my elephant back there. My little elephant back there. But other than that, Omar says, what's your camera of choice?
Canon. I started shooting on a Nikon, and the Japanese guy that came over here from who owned the other magazine, he was shooting on a Canon. And matter of fact, he was shooting on a Canon, and he was shooting on a Canon at night with no flash. He taught me how to shoot that night without a flash, and I sold those Nikons maybe a week later and got Canon gear. And
Wow.
I did try to. I think it was sometime last February. I was matter of fact, I was on my way to South Carolina. I was on my way to my aunt's funeral, and I drove to Adorama, and I bought a Fuji 100. And I bought the camera because Fuji. I've been thinking about going. I was thinking about going back to film, and then I was reading about Fuji being the only camera that can actually mimic film, and they had all these recipes you could create. So I went and bought the camera. Bought the camera that day, drove to South Carolina, never took it out the box for 3 months. Finally took it out the box, started shooting with it, hated the camera, took it back and sold it back to Adorama for like half the money because I hated the camera. Yeah.
It's like a car.
Mhm.
You ride it off the lot and it's worth half.
Yep. And that's basically what they gave me. So I stick to my my Canons, and I like my Canon. And my cameras are old. I like the Canon 1D and the Canon 1DX.
Wow.
Those are my camera choices. But in my living room, I probably have about 40 cameras on display in here, and those are like I got some of everything. I got my first Nikon sitting in here, so I've got about 40 in here. Then I have a what is the name of this one? So a friend of mine gave me her father's camera. It's an Electra 35.
Wow. I don't know.
And
I've only seen that in a picture. I've seen that in like a garage sale. I think it was in Bushwick. I saw one of those in Bushwick.
let me tell you, she gave me her father's camera, Electra 35. Matter of fact, she gave it to me the same time. She gave it to me like I came back from South Carolina. She gave it to me like the Sunday after I bought the Fuji. So it sat for a while. Then I took it to B&H, bought a battery for it, and it had the old leather case from the 70s. Remember those with the leather was shaped for the camera?
Yes, my father had that when I was growing up.
And two guys, were like, "Is that Electric 35? Electric 35?" I was like, "Yep." And the guy asked me to look at it, and I showed it to him, and then boom, they were looking at it, and I started watching more videos on it, and they were telling me how the videos were showing like the camera quality was just as good as the Leica, and I was like, "What?" Yeah, so I actually have film in it. I still haven't developed the film yet because I still got I still got 2 rolls, so I'm still playing around, actually learning that camera.
Wow. Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned that. Someone mentioned, when I was again as along this road, this journey, it is so good to just take one camera, get out there and learn the camera. And also not only learn the camera, and then when you get your new lenses or you change your lenses out, you buy an old lens and put a new lens, put it on your camera, take that lens and that camera out and just keep shooting with it, because then you get to know exactly what that lens is capable of and what that camera is capable with that lens, pairing them up together, and you become one with your camera.
Yes.
I learned that when I was living in Africa. And when I started this venture being a photographer, I literally photographed with my camera and my 2 little lenses that I had. I had 2 cameras, but I had my D3 and I think it was the D610. And literally, I photographed for 3 months, every day, all day, for 3 months, thousands and thousands and thousands of photos. But what was great about it is that you start learning your camera, and your camera and your camera become one. It's almost like a marriage,
Mm-hmm.
and you actually know what the capabilities are in your tool chest.
You
So
know, also, I think today so many photographers get caught up on the latest equipment. Oh, I gotta go buy this.
yes,
This is the newest camera. This is for me. The Fuji camera was a mirrorless camera, but I didn't. One of the things I didn't like about it, the images were too sharp to the point where they didn't
yes,
even look real. They looked like AI. So I didn't like that. I like my camera because I feel like I can get a balance of what I want with it. I know it. I can literally I can make the camera dance. Let's just say that I can make the camera dance. It does whatever I want it to do, and I know how to create a grainy effect. If I want a grainy effect, that
yes.
these cameras, the other cameras, like I said, they're great for some people. They're just not great for me. So my point is, a lot of I'm reading what this person. A lot of photographers today just get caught up buying the latest equipment and not learning and understanding what they have, because most of it is understanding equipment, knowing how to use your equipment. If you can buy the best camera in the world, if you don't know how to use it, then it doesn't really matter. That's how
True,
I look
true,
at it.
true, true. Man, holy moly. Okay, we could talk all day. So now, if there's one thing, if I mean, I always try to do a closing thought. Um, if there's one thing, let's say, well, there's two questions I want to ask you. If you can go back to your 16-year-old self, what would you tell your 16-year-old self about photography or your career, or how to get a career or create a career in photography? What would you tell your 16-year-old self?
Um, I don't. Well, it's what I would tell myself. I would tell myself probably what my father used to say. He would come home and be like, "You need to stop hanging out on the corner with those." That's what he would say. So I would probably
Uh-huh.
I would tell myself that, but I don't know. I guess my childhood and my younger self made me who I am today. So if I change it, it might change things. I don't know. So I don't know what I would tell myself. Other than probably, um, you know, when I look at school, when I look at school, um, certain things I would probably look at and tell myself to take more serious.
Mhm.
Because there were things that we took up. Like I took up. I always like history. History is the thing that I always like. I guess that's also part of that is why I like photography, because of history as well. And I think I'm creating
Yes.
history when I'm out shooting. But when it comes to art classes, poetry classes, and things like that,
Mhm.
the importance of it. Back then, I didn't understand the importance of why do I have to take up poetry until I started getting into um, my
Yes.
boy James Baldwin. He's my favorite right now. I didn't understand the importance of that. I didn't understand the importance of
Yes.
the painting classes and how strong art is. Painting pictures help tell the story. Photographing images help tell the story. So I think I would tell myself, take those classes more serious and
Mm.
really understand the impact and how important those classes are. But at the same time, those things were not taught to us. Also, and I guess I was asked this in an interview before. Those things weren't taught to us, but at the same time, I didn't see people that look like me. So if I
Yes.
don't see people that look like me, the images don't look like me, and they don't resonate with me, I don't care. It has nothing to do with me. So I think the younger me would have a better I would tell the younger me to get a better understanding of the importance of all art mediums, and understand how you can use them, to create social change, bring awareness. And like I said, that back then I didn't know that.
Wow. That is so valuable. And where would you like to see yourself 5 or 10 years from now? Let's say 10 years from
Alive.
now.
Well, you know what?
In your work.
I think the path I'm on right now, I think I'm designing it. I think I'm doing it by design. Like I said,
Yes.
I'm doing it by design, and I want to see my work. Um, I want to see my work. I want my work to speak to speak volume and have impact on
Mm,
social change. That's what I see my work in the next 5 to 10 years. I want the younger generation to look at my work and
mhm.
see it the same way, the same way folks look at Gordon Parks' work. Same way,
Yes.
I tell you this, and I didn't know whose work it was. Going back before I started shooting, but I always saw Jamel Shabazz work. Jamel's on here,
Yes,
but I saw
yes, our
Jamel work.
brother.
And, and when I look at Jamel's work today, it has
Yes,
even more meaning today for me because I lived that time period. You know what I'm
yes.
saying? I lived it. I remember wearing a name belt. I remember wearing the Adidas with the laces, and
And the
yeah. So
Kango hats and the
in the Kango
gazelles.
hat and wanting and not being able to afford some of the stuff and wanting it.
Yes,
So
yes.
I want my work. I want my work to be. I want my work to have that same impact. I
Mhm.
want my work to hang on someone's wall in 100 years, and do like I do when I look at some old photos and wonder, man, what was it really like back then? And
Yes.
and have the photo to tell the story. Like I always wonder when I see works that famous photo of Marcus Garvey in the convertible old car, going down the block. What
Yes.
was it like? What was it like just for the photographer to photograph that? What was it like
Mhm.
to be in the same room with these people and just speak to them? I want my work to just basically be that. I want it to be part of history. That's what I
Nice.
want.
Nice. So, you wanna tell people about your, exhibition that's coming up and how they can get there?
So this coming Friday is the opening ceremony.
Uh-huh.
It's out in Southampton, New York. So you take the Long Island Expressway to the last exit, and you make a. I'm gonna tell you, you take the Long Island Expressway to the last exit, exit 72. You make a right turn. You take that to 24. You take 24 all the way down and get on Montauk Highway, and then you make another right turn, and you'll be there. And it will take you coming from the city about 2 hours to do that. I think the
Wow.
address is 25 Pond. So is it Pond Street or Pond Avenue, Southampton, at the Southampton Cultural Center. This
Okay.
this coming Friday's grand opening ceremony. Also, the Fatter Fund is sponsoring that event, and I will be auctioning off that one piece as the one I showed you with the Muslim women and Jewish women,
Wow.
raising funds for their event that helps kids into the arts.
Mhm.
Um, so that's that event. Then and it actually started yesterday. It started yesterday, and it will run to the end of the month.
Awesome. And
Mhm.
also, you can is there one more question? Oh, there's a question in there. David says, "Do you have a book out or is one coming in the future?"
David, yes, actually working on two books at the current moment. The first book that I'm putting out, don't ask me when it's going to be out. It's a project that I started maybe 4 years ago, and I'm still working on it. And the project started when I photographed one homeless gentleman on 125th Street, and I've been going around from New York to Arizona, speaking with homeless people, getting their stories because every homeless person has a story, and we walk by them every day, and we act like they're invisible. And each one of these homeless people on these streets are somebody to somebody. So the book, that title of that book is "What Are Their Stories?" And I
Wow.
photograph homeless people. I talk to them. I get their story. I want to wrap that book up sometime. I want to put it out in 2025, so I want to wrap it up soon. But I want to go to LA and shoot the homeless scene out there before I do
Mm,
that because there's a huge homeless population in LA
yes.
with interesting stories. So I want to go out there and photograph that. Then there's another book that I'm working on. I haven't titled it yet, but a lot of the images that I'm working on for that book, it's I wouldn't say I'm the originator of the style, but what I've been doing is I shoot a lot of images where I blur the person as they're walking by, and there's like subliminal messages. And some work. Actually, can you show that photo, Ron, the one I sent you that says housekeeping,
Sure.
and then in the background it says American Dream, and I'll show you, David, what I mean about that subject matter.
Hold on, here we go. Let me get that out of here. Let me see here. Hold on a second. And here we go. Stop sharing that one. And here we go. Yeah, these are really cool. Let me, oops, wrong one right there. Okay, here we go. I'm gonna pop in here and
So when you look at this photo right here, the book that I'm working on, actually most of the images will look like this. The person will be blurred, and the subject that I want you to actually focus on will be Thursday. And if you look at this image, you see it says housekeeping above, and the graffiti says American Dream. And basically what this is, I titled this The Erosion of the American Dream. Especially after this election, this political climate that we've been in. And then, when you look at where we're at as a society, what is the American Dream? The American Dream back in the day, they used to always say, graduate school, buy a house with a white picket fence, have a car and a cat and a dog. That was the American Dream. Today, what is the American Dream? For some people, the American Dream is just survival. It's just survival. I just need to have enough money to buy food. So that's why it says, the housekeeping. That's why when I drove by and I saw this, I got out the car because as soon as I saw it, I was like, oh wow, that's heavy. That's deep subject matter right there. American Dream, housekeeping. The American Dream for some people, might say, hey, we need to clean this up. But the title of this image is The American Dream, the erosion of the American Dream. Yep.
Wow.
And then you have two faded men just walking into each other.
Omar says, go to San Francisco and your mind will be blown away.
Yeah, I know. San Francisco and Oakland. Yes.
Yeah. Wow. Wow. And since we're here, there's a couple more photos from here. Let me just kind of get my little cursor going here. And there's some more shots here. I mean, you're just doing your thing, sir.
And this is go back to the woman here. This is another one that I showed the video of with the woman sitting there. And I was walking by. As soon as I saw this, I composed a shot. And what caught my attention was, she's just into her laptop. But look at the colors. White background.
I love the colors. Yes, look at all the colors.
That's what caught my attention with this. Yep. So I named this one Vibrant Solace. Like look at her. She's at peace on her laptop. Yes. You got the colors, the white. So wow. Did you go back to the other one with the three women standing against the wall?
Hold on a second. Here we
go. And these images actually just showing, these images will all be they'll be hanging up as well at the gallery in Southampton. This image right here is a perfect depiction of today's society. Once again, as I said, it's about, we need to pay attention to our surroundings and we'll find beauty. But today, so many of us are on our phones and not paying attention. So I actually was sitting waiting for the light to change when I shot this.
Wow.
And I looked over and I saw the three of them against the wall. And I was like, that's a beautiful shot. And I shot it. And I named this one Socially Disconnected. Because socially, these three women are together, but they are disconnected. Everyone's into their phone. That's our society today. Society, we are socially disconnected. Everybody's either on a phone, a laptop, not paying attention to no one at their way. How many times you go into restaurants and you see groups of people at a table and everybody's on the phone?
Everybody's on the phone. Families. You go to the restaurant and you see the whole family and no one's talking to each other. Everyone's on the phone. It's crazy.
So socially, they're together, but they're disconnected. And that's what that photo's about.
Wow. Well, my friend, I could tell you this was such a blessing to have you here. and to share your work and to share what you do. And I also want to share with you guys just so you can know where his with Carl's. First of all, let me give you Carl's website, and it's going to be all included in the description of this video. But this is Carl's website. It's great. His website is amazing. And also his IG account is Carl Broady Photo. So you can go onto Instagram and prepare to set time aside because it is one of those accounts on Instagram. You know, there's people that post and okay, that's a good picture. But there are people that post on Instagram that literally you have to take time out. It's going to take you probably a couple of, maybe an hour or two to just go through and just absorb the work. And your Instagram account is someone mentioned in here brilliant.
Thank
It's
you.
just the photos. Like I said, I'm honored to have you here because I fell in love with your work. And now that I know your foundations, I was like, okay. I said he's not gonna give all his ingredients away, but now at least I know. And Annie and Gordon Parks, and what was the first person?
Norman Rockwell.
Norman Rockwell. And I'll never forget going to the Norman Rockwell Museum and home in Vermont years ago. One of my things. I'm an arty. I love art just like I like food. And man, this was great. Do you have any last words? Any last words?
No, I'm worded out right now. I just want to say thank you for having me. And listen, I hope I inspired some people, because you know what? I get inspired by other people every day. I'm on Instagram and I'm looking at other people's work, and it inspires me, and I try to do the same thing. So,
well, this was you definitely inspired. You have Anthony says, my wife and I are always amazed by that. You get dressed up and go to a very nice restaurant only to spend the evening on your phone.
You know what? You know what I do, Anthony? People think I'm crazy for doing this, but remember, we come from an era when we only had the house phone and we had to memorize numbers. I've actually gotten to the point where now I actually leave the phone in the car, and I feel like if it's important, I'll call you back. I mean, if let's say something like people say, what if it's an emergency? Well, if it's probably an emergency, I probably can't do nothing right then and there anyway. So I'll handle it when I get a chance. But the important person for me to call every day is my mother. You know what I'm saying? But everybody else, I'll call you back when I get back to you.
Well, also, guys in the audience, if you enjoyed this conversation, like some of you are posting, please put a comment if you enjoyed, or applause, or give our brother Carl a hand. Show him some love. He took time out of his day to spend time with us. And please get out there too. I'm going to put the information of the exhibition out in Long Island. So if you're in the area, myself and another person, we are trying to, you may know Butch and I are trying to get something together so we can go out there and hang out with and see the exhibition. But we're still working on the details. However, also Charlene says, amazing conversation.
Thank you.
Dr. Tachi says, thank you both. G is applauding, Anthony's applauding, and Kelly is applauding, and our wonderful Amparo says yes. And
wait, I have to do something for Amparo.
You know our Amparo, right?
Wait, Amparo, you ready for it? Amparo, darling, how are you doing today? I had to tease it with that one. Amparo, it's me. I'm here.
We love Amparo. And also, I see again, Derek sends his hands up, and Michael Young is in the building.
What's up,
and
Mike?
He says, yeah, we know Mike was on here. We had such a great time with Mike. Mike is coming back. He's got to come back. This in season 3, we're gonna have some people back, and to share where you guys are and what you're doing, and also the impact you're making in our communities. And it's so important that what we do as photographers it is not just a job. It's just not a hobby. It is something we do with passion and with conviction. And we do it because we want to bring awareness to different subjects in the world. And hopefully, you as the audience will take time to invest in your photographers. Take time to, go by their page, go to their shows, go to their exhibitions. If they are fundraising, do fundraising with them. Whatever they need, you know, photographers go through what I call we have these moments, especially if we've been in exhibitions. I've had the opportunity to be in exhibition as well. Um, we have a great time preparing for those exhibitions, and then we're there, and then you got all these people watching your work, looking at your work, coming over, congratulating you, and interacting with you with all these and accolades and all that stuff, and then or they go to your page and they see your work. But being a photographer, and if I may say so myself, it is a lonely road. Even though we have our significant people in our lives, we live in our heads a lot. For those that do our job and try to do it well, we live in our headspace, and we live in sometimes a silo. It is so important that when you see people that are creatives, and these are just only photographers, but most creatives, give them a hug. Let them know how much you appreciate them. Give them a kind word. Send a DM and say, you know what? I was just thinking of you. I just want to say your words the other day on that platform over there, I really enjoyed it. It changed my life. It changed my world. Let people know how you feel about them. Let them know how much you appreciate them. I guess that's well across the whole board. But I'm just saying, for my photographer brothers and sisters out there, they could use some love. They could use some love. Um, last year we lost a couple of photographers to suicide, and which is because many reasons of why those situations happen. But I do believe we can curve some of these incidences by just reaching out and say, hey, I love you. Just talking, just thinking about you, just thinking about your work, just thinking about what you did last week. Or you know what? You just crossed my mind. I'm just saying hello. It means the world. So let's go into 2025 caring for the people that create for us, that build content for us, and that we can celebrate them while they're here with us and let them know how important they are. Okay, guys? Man, this was wonderful. This
Thank
is
you. I appreciate
Carl.
it. I had a great time. I had a great time.
Carl, you are the man, sir.
I appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Yes, I'm gonna say goodbye to you, Carl, and I'm gonna just give them some housekeeping stuff, and then we're out of here.
All right.
Thank you,
Take care.
bro.
Thank you all. Appreciate it.
Wasn't that wonderful? Wasn't that wonderful? Oh man, what an incredible guy. And I'm so glad that he shared this platform with me here, and that he was here to be able to encourage you, give you some wisdom, share some smarts, and just really, yeah. Omar says, oh, what a comeback. What a comeback. Yes, right. We're coming back into 2025. So guys, if you're looking and listening, our new time will be at 11 o'clock. We're going back to 11 o'clock a.m. And so we'll be next week is our official show as we get back into Touch Base Dailies every day. We will be meeting next, I think it's next Wednesday is the 15th. We'll be on at 11 a.m. The reasoning behind this is because I asked the question of which one do you like better? Do you like the 10 o'clock hour or do you like the 11 o'clock? And for the most part, people said 11. And they were saying because it's closer to their lunchtime if they're on the East Coast. And if they're on the West Coast, they don't have to get up as early. So bringing it to 11. And then also if they're like our buddy and our brother out in India, at 11 o'clock here in New York City, it's 11 o'clock in his time, which is he's just going to bed. or getting ready for bed. So kind of like 11 o'clock seems to be that balancing point globally. And so we're going back to 11 o'clock. Okay. And if you have any suggestions on topics you want us to cover for this 2025, for this season, please DM me. Let me know if are there subjects. I know we got subjects on. We're going to be talking about wills and that stuff, and getting ready, getting your will and getting your all those papers, those important papers together. We're also talking about one of the subjects that came up that someone slid into my DMs is we're going to be talking about prostate health for all these male photographers out there, and what our numbers should look like, because so many men, especially in the Black community, don't know what those numbers are and don't even know where to look for those numbers. So as Black photographers, we want to make sure that we're healthy and we're looking good, feeling good. We want to take care of our health. I'm going to also have one of my, I'm hoping to have my optician, the eye doctor, who follows my work here. He's in my neighborhood. I'm going to try to have him on to talk about how photographers can better take care of their eyes. And in general, it'll be great for everyone, but for photographers, we use our eyes all the time. So we want to be able to talk about that, how to eye health. So there's going to be a lot of different topics we're going to talk about this year that are not, they're related to photographers, and they're going to help us become better at what we do, and also as content creators. And so get the word out, share with your friends what we're doing here at Touch Base Daily. And we're going to have a great year. We're going to have a great season. Each year has 2 seasons. So this is our first season in 2025, which is season 3. So guys, thank you so much for joining me today. I hope you had an amazing time. And Power says, she said, I'm looking forward to that. And Dr. Taji said, oh, that's good one. So we're gonna really do a lot this year, and really get in there and dive in. Like I said, we're gonna have these moments where we just have these conversations, especially our Wisdom Wednesdays. We're gonna really just give it to the artists to be able to just talk about what they do. And today was wonderful. We had no bars, no restrictions. We just talked, and that was great. Okay, guys, it was wonderful spending time with you all. I'm going back to vacation, not technically, and I will see you on Wednesday at 11 o'clock, and we'll be back as Touch Base Daily. Thank you so much for joining us. And you guys have what? What do? We focus on what matters. Live life like you mean it, and focus on what matters. Okay, guys, talk to you later, and I am out of here.